I love you guys. Hello, hi, thank you so much for joining. So today we're talking about macronutrients and why they're important. And this is a topic that I love talking about. So let me introduce myself really quickly and then we'll get started, okay? So, my name is Sarah. I blog over at sweetblondesfitlife.com. I've lost 80 pounds, transformed my body, and I'm extremely passionate about talking about nutrition. So, that's a little bit about me, and that's why I'm talking about what I am talking about today. So, as you could probably tell from the title, thank you everybody so much for joining me. Quick little lunch scope, I guess we could call it that. As you can probably tell from the title, we are talking about macronutrients. Now, macronutrients have gotten really popular because of the if it fits your macros sort of diet that people do, which is completely fine. And if it fits your macros, which is IFFYM, so you'll probably see hashtags or whatever, is basically a fancy way to say that you're counting your calories, because you're counting you're counting the amount of fat you're eating, the amount of carbs you're eating, and the amount of protein you're eating. So I do not personally follow if it fits your macros. I actually do not count calories at all, which some people find extremely strange, but it works well for me and I like it. There are other people that like to do the if it fits your macros or calorie counting because it allows them to be a little bit more flexible. That's why it gets the name flexible dieting. So it's all personal preference or what you prefer. I personally just like to pay attention to the nutrients that are in my food and not so much the calories. So let me show you guys what I have on my plate right now. So hopefully you can kind of see it. Okay. So there are 2 pieces of, now I'm allergic to gluten. That's why I eat gluten-free. There is nothing magical about eating gluten-free, so just keep that in mind. That can be a topic for another scope, possibly. But I'm allergic to gluten, which is why I personally do not consume it, okay? So if you want to eat gluten-free, fine, but I'm not saying that that's like the answer to everything. So I have 2 pieces of gluten-free toast. This one has avocado mashed, a quarter of an avocado mashed on top of it with some hemp seeds. And this one has a little bit of grass-fed butter on there. Thank you so much for the hearts, those are so pretty. And then I have eggs, 2 eggs with a 1/3 cup of egg whites, and there's like some green salsa on top. So basically what I have on my plate here, this may be really obvious, but I'm gonna go over it just so that everybody knows. The bread is the carbs, avocado is fat, eggs have fat, hemp seeds are both protein and fat, and then obviously the grass-fed butter is fat as well, and then the eggs are the protein. So I have carbs, fat, and protein. So yes, somebody just asked, butter, I have no idea which one is the best one to get. That's another hot topic. I personally, if I'm gonna eat butter, I like to eat grass-fed butter, because if you're gonna eat butter, you might as well eat the real thing, because you're gonna get all the nutrients from it. If you're eating margarine, or I can't believe it's not butter, things like that, it's basically just vegetable oil that someone turned into butter. So if you're gonna get butter, I really like the grass-fed butter, which the brand that I buy is Kerrygold. If you're in the US, they have it at Whole Foods, they have it at Trader Joe's, they also have it at Costco, but that's a lot of butter if you're buying it at Costco, so just keep that in mind. But basically, the reason that macronutrients, and I will make this short, I don't want to keep you guys on here for too long. So the reason that macronutrients are extremely important is because each meal that you eat should have carbs, fat, and protein, okay? Your body can only use 20 to 30 grams of protein for muscle, this is always a tongue twister for me, for muscle synthesis at a time. So what muscle synthesis is where your body actually uses that protein to build muscle. So each meal or snack, whatever it is, should have about 20 grams of protein in it. You can have up to 30, but anything over 30, it's not gonna hurt you necessarily, but your body can't do anything with that protein. So if you go all day long, you only eat maybe 10, 20 grams of protein, and then you get to dinner and you're like, oh man, I still gotta eat like 80 grams of protein. Fine, you can eat 80 grams of protein at dinner. Number 1, you're gonna be extremely full, and number 2, your body's not gonna be able to do anything with about 50 grams of that protein that you're eating. And so if you're eating the food, you want your body to be able to use it, you want it to be able to metabolize it, build muscle, and be healthy. And so that's why you want to space your protein out throughout the day. So I always have a good source of protein in each meal or snack. So what works for me is I usually do 3 main meals and 2 snacks. But there is no rule of thumb. You'll see some people that say, oh, I have to eat 6 or 7 meals a day because I have to eat every 2 hours. Well, maybe that's what works for them, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Maybe they have to eat a lot of protein, so they gotta spread it out throughout 7 meals, you know? That's just, when we talk about nutrition and dieting and exercise even, the thing you must keep in mind is that something different works for everyone. And there are certain things that are not healthy and you should not do. But as a general rule, you know, there's not one way that's like my way or the highway, you know what I mean? So basically, as I was saying, protein, you want to do 20 to 30 grams per meal. So on my plate right now, which I am really excited to eat, but I'm scoping with y'all, so I'm not eating it yet. On my plate right now, like I said, I have 2 eggs and 1/3 cup of egg whites. So I'd have to look at the nutrition facts. I can't remember off the top of my head. If Katie was here, she would know. But with the 2 eggs and the egg whites, the reason I do it that way is you get the good fat from the eggs, but then you also get, it's a little bit thicker, a little bit more substantial by adding in some egg whites in there too, and you get some additional protein as well. So I like to eat it that way. 2 eggs and 1/3 cup of egg whites, or you know, just a dash of egg whites, whatever. That's just how I like to eat it. That's a great source of protein. It's at least 20 grams. It might be a little bit over, but it's not over 30, that's for sure. And then my carbs, the reason that I like to top my toast, number one, it's delicious. But the other reason I like to top my toast with fats, like avocado or grass-fed butter, is because when you eat carbs together with something like that's like fatty, it slows down the speed at which your body metabolizes the carbs. And that's a good thing for various reasons. Number one, if your body is processing the carbs slower, they're basically not, I'm like blanking on the word right now, but there's like high processed carbs and then there's like good carbs. So that's things like, you know, sweet potato, gluten-free toast. I am okay eating gluten-free toast because I buy the one that has the least amount of ingredients. So you don't want to buy like a gluten-free or a bread that's like the first ingredient is sugar. I know you guys probably think I'm crazy, but they exist. So just pay attention to the ingredient list. You want to buy the thing with the least amount of ingredients, okay? And I like to put fat on top of it because it slows down the way that your body metabolizes the carbohydrates, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar as quickly. So that's what carbs do. Carbs in your system turn to sugar. Again, this may be basic information, but I like to just explain it because I feel like once you understand how the food affects your body and how it makes you feel, it's much easier to make better decisions. So thank you for inviting your followers, by the way. I kind of can't see the comments going on, but thank you so much for inviting your followers. That is amazing. So basically, it slows down the way that your body, when you put fat together with carbs, it slows down the way your body metabolizes those carbs. So carbs, when you eat them, they turn to sugar. So that's just natural. That's what your body does with them. You know, that's just the way it is. But it's going to spike your blood sugar a little bit. So if you can keep your blood sugar more even throughout the day, you don't want to have these huge spikes and then drops and spikes and then drops, because what happens, number one, is when your blood sugar spikes, your body does all these things to try to like even it out again, and then you're gonna have a dip, and then when you dip down, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm so tired, and then you're gonna feel hungry because you're tired, and you just want to try to keep your blood sugar as even as possible. That's another reason why I like eating 3 meals, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then 2 snacks. But again, that's just what works well for me to keep it balanced throughout the day. Some people like to eat 3 huge meals and that's it. Some people like to eat 7 small meals. Just whatever works for you so that you're getting your nutrients in. So we talked about protein, we talked about the carbs, and then I talked about why I like to eat my carbs with a little bit of fat on top of them. My favorite, another fat you can put on top of like toast is like peanut butter. That's great fat. And then fat is important, actually. You don't want to... Are your meals bigger than your snacks? I will address that in 1 second, okay? The reason that fat is important, let me just cover that topic and then I'll answer that question. The reason that fat is important is because fat actually also helps you stay full. So protein helps you feel full. It's satiating. That's another reason why it's great to include protein in your meals and snacks, because it helps you stay full and it gives you that feeling of being full. So if you ate a whole entire bag of chips, number one, bad for multiple reasons, but they're all carbs, so it's going to spike your blood sugar because it's a ton of carbs, and then there's no protein in it. So like 30 minutes later, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, but I just ate a huge bag of chips. Why am I hungry? Because there was no protein in your snack. So that's another reason why it's extremely important to have protein in your snacks. Fat is important because it also does satiate, give you that feeling of being full. It helps your body process carbohydrates better, and fats are definitely not bad. Carbs get a bad rap and fats get a bad rap, and neither of them are bad. Again, different things work for different people, but when I started adding a lot more fats in, like olive oil, avocado's probably my favorite fat, like, to be honest, but even hemp seeds have like omega-3s and stuff in them. Salmon is a great source of fat. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. I said olive oil, coconut oil, things like that. When I started adding more fats into grass-fed butter, I started adding more fats into my diet, I actually lost a lot more of my belly fat, which is where my like problem area is. And so that was extremely eye-opening. Again, not everybody may have those results, but it was eye-opening for me because before, fat had always been like, no fat, no fat. So just make sure you have some fat, some protein, and some carbs in each one of your meals or snacks, and you will be good to go. So to answer your question, I eat 3 meals, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this would be a breakfast. I usually add greens in here too, like a side salad or some spinach, anything that I can do to get more greens into what I'm eating, because greens are full of nutrients and they're extremely good for you. And then the snacks are a little bit smaller than meals, so like not everything looks the same. So I would say that breakfast, lunch, and dinner are bigger, and then the snacks are a little bit smaller. So sometimes I'll have like a trail mix as a snack, or sometimes it's as simple as having a Quest bar as a snack. I like to make these protein muffins. Actually, we'll probably make them today because they're pumpkin protein muffins and they're so good. They're perfect for like pumpkin season. So we'll have a few of those. But basically what you want to make sure, the size doesn't matter as much as what's in it. So you want to make sure you have protein, carbs, and fat in each one of your meals. And if it's post-workout or pre-workout, those are a little bit different. Post-workout, you want to make sure you're getting carbs and fat. You want to make sure you're getting carbs and protein. Pre-workout doesn't matter as much. You want to make sure you're getting carbs, fat, and protein, but post-workout, you want to make sure that you can still have fat in your post-workout meal, but you just want to make sure that it's mostly carbs and protein. So hopefully that answered your question. But anyways, thank you everybody so much for joining me today. I love talking about this topic, so if you enjoyed it, for those of you who invited your followers, I appreciate that so much, and for all the hearts. And so obviously, if you guys enjoyed this and it was a good topic for you, then I will try to do these more often. I was thinking maybe we could do something like Monday at noon, we talk about macros and I show you what I'm eating for lunch or breakfast or whatever. And that's the other thing, is I am known to eat breakfast food for dinner. So it doesn't really matter like when you're eating what, as long as you're eating the right nutrients and you're fitting, you know, all that stuff in, because you just want to make sure that what you're eating is packed with nutrients. And that's why I like to pay more attention to what I'm eating and the nutrients that I'm eating versus the calories. This does not mean that I'm eating, you know, huge amounts of stuff. Thank you so much. Sorry, I had to lean in to see your comment, but she said she loved my scope, so that is, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Do you guys check out this new Starbucks cup. This is like one of those like reusable ones that like costs $1, but like for Christmas and stuff, it says joy. Like, isn't that cute? Love it. Sorry, I'm just gonna have some coffee, and I love coffee. Coffee is also not bad. The thing that makes coffee bad is all the sugar and all the things that people add to it. So, I love to drink like black coffee or an Americano, with a little bit of stevia extract. I love the concentrated stevia extract from Trader Joe's. If you guys live in the US and you have Trader Joe's, it comes in like a little, like, I guess it's like a little like container, and you can just throw it in your purse. It's super easy. I always have that with me because if I'm out getting coffee. So, yeah, and the cashew milk. I love cashew milk. It's so good. And you guys, for a cup of cashew milk, number one, it has more calcium than cow's milk, which is kind of cool. And for a cup of cashew milk, it's 25 calories. And I don't remember the fat content, but it's 25 calories. So if you just put a little dash in your coffee, like, it's like nothing. And it's creamy, and it's great, and I love it. So anyways, I will let you guys all go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will definitely do these more often, showing you kind of like what I eat and how I like to balance my plate, because that's really what matters.